Your Honor, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I want to thank you for your time today. We are here. The Broward County Hispanic Bar Association has elected you as the Judge of the Month for September, and we have some questions for you respectfully. First of all, thanks for taking the time today. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And yourself, how are you?
Alive and kicking through this tempestuous time that we're going through. But grateful that you can give me a few minutes of your time today, Judge.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Without further ado, I'm going to jump right in because I know that you got a busy schedule. Is that okay?
That's fine. But I do want to say that I am honored and grateful for this recognition. So
Thank you.
I'm such a distinguished organization.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I was actually going to lead into that, but that knocked one out for me. I appreciate that. Your Honor, just for purposes of everyone out there, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, background, stuff of that nature.
Certainly. I'm Rudy Morel, officially Rudolph Morel. I am a general magistrate in the 17th Judicial Circuit. I'm in the Felony Criminal Division. I work with Judge Navarro with Drug Court and Judge Porth with Mental Health Court. Preside over defendants who regularly appear before me for status hearings, who are in the diversion programs for both of the divisions. My background is actually I started off in medicine. I'm a medical doctor as well as an attorney. I have an MD, JD. I got my medical degree in Georgetown, trained at Stanford, and then went to University of Miami for law school, and have experience in medical malpractice litigation. I used to be an assistant county attorney in Miami-Dade. I did that for a while and was very involved in the Public Health Trust, University of Miami. I worked with in medical malpractice defense cases for the Public Health Trust, as well as tort cases, workers' comp cases, all the ones with the medical in it, which really, fascinated me. It's amazing how much medicine I learned after medical school and training in law, with working with the Public Health Trust in those cases. Since then, I went to the Public Defender's Office here in Broward County. I was a public defender for 15 years. I'm just under 15 years with Howard Finkelstein, and worked on was in drug court as a public defender and mental health court. I also worked on some of the capital cases at the Public Defender's Office as sort of on the medical end of things, which is fascinating as well. I've also been involved with the United Way Commission on Substance Abuse. At the time, I was a chair for a couple of years for that. We worked very hard with a lot of the waves of drugs that hit the county when the opiate crisis, of course, that we've been dealing with. Fought hard to work with others in the United Way organization to work with other agencies, University of Miami, to promote needle exchanges, to promote understanding of medication-assisted treatment, which exists now, and a lot of other tools that have been used in the challenge with this opiate crisis that we're facing.
That's a very diverse background, Your Honor. So you kind of touched it a little bit in that intro, but so can you tell us a little bit about the actual cases that come before you? Are they criminal cases? Are they mental health cases? What law do you primarily deal with?
So at this time, I preside over criminal cases. They're qualifying felony cases that appear in drug court. And I preside over status hearings while the participants are receiving treatment and progressing forward to eventually get their cases dismissed.
And Your Honor, you mentioned previously how long you've been an attorney. How long have you actually been on the bench now as a general magistrate?
I was appointed to the bench in 2019 in September. So I don't know. I've lost count with the the virtual year,
Yes,
but
sir,
a
of
couple of
course.
years, I guess. It'll be in September. It'll be 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Your Honor, could you give us a little bit, how is a day in the life of a general magistrate in Broward County?
Well, it really does depend on what area of the law you're in. I know that there are magistrates that are in the family division, and there are magistrates in probate, and in Baker Acts as well, and Marchman Acts. So a typical day for me is presiding over status hearings, having staffings before the defendants appear. We refer to them as participants. We'll have a staffing, which will include the members of the drug court team, both defense, state, and treatment, pretrial supervision. And we will actually, and the defendants sign waivers of appearance for this. Of course, it'll include the participants, the defendant's attorney, whether it's public defender or private attorney, and we'll discuss the case. And that staffing part is it's a fairly regular type of procedure that's done in medicine and in psychiatry. And it's been incorporated as a best practice in drug court. We will do the staffing, and then after the staffing, have the participant join us, and then have a discussion as to their progress in treatment. Sometimes they're doing great, and they're commended. The court functions as a sort of focal point for the participant to get sort of the feedback from the program as to how they're doing. We do that by following best practices that have been adopted by the Supreme Court of Florida. And the best practices are to use a combination of incentives and sanctions. And we do that because that's what's been shown to motivate people to treatment and to progress. We have participants with all varying degrees of either addiction, or some who are not addicted and just working towards a dismissal of their case. And within the program, we have people who do very well and recognized as all-stars. I'll reset them for a longer period of time so they don't have to appear in court. We'll have some who need intensive court supervision and are really in a life and death situation. I deal with life and death situations where I need to make decisions as to how soon to reset, to make sure that we get feedback, whether to have the court order them to a detox, to treatment. And sometimes there are tricky cases. There are some participants, let's say, that are testing positive for fentanyl, which is a very potent, very deadly drug that's out there, that's appearing in all different types of combinations. And anytime they use that drug, they introduce that drug into their body, they could die, they could overdose, and it happens. Fortunately, we've been having a great record in drug court in my division of people not dying and being successful and progressing forward. I believe not to go on about the opiate crisis, but that's what we're dealing with right now. That's what I see a lot of, and so I will, the court will take any action that we think follows best practices in, pursuant to recommendations that are offered by treatment or pretrial supervision, and then we'll give them a reset.
That is a handful, Your Honor. You got your hands full. Your Honor, for someone that would be interested in possibly becoming a general magistrate, can you give us a little bit of background, your experience, or detail the road you took to get there?
Well, the magistrate position is a position that's appointed by the chief judge of the 17th Judicial Circuit. Judge Jack Tudor appointed me to this position. It is a fairly competitive process. I don't know how many candidates there were, but I would think there'd be at least 40, 50 or so.
Oh, wow.
Position.
Okay.
It involves several levels of screening and actual interviews by circuit court judges who then, I believe, recommend a panel to the chief judge, and then the chief judge also interviews and then makes his decision.
And how long is your job duration, Your Honor?
It is indefinite. I mean, it is a permanent position.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's no limit. Yeah.
Good to have you. We're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, tell us a little bit about your family, your influences.
My family, wow. I come from small families. Both my parents are only children, so I never had a really big family. I've been married for 30 years, and that's hard to say.
I was just going to say, that's impressive.
I mean, it makes me seem so old, but I've been married for 30 years now. That's right. 20, yeah.
Where does your family hail from, Your
Honor? We are from Cuba. Both my parents are from Cuba, my wife's parents as well, from Havana, Cuba. I was actually born there and came over as a very small child, 10-month-old. We went through a tough time getting out. When I was 6 months old, my mother was arrested and put in a prison camp, and I was separated from her for a while, and she was released, thankfully, subsequently, and so we had to get out quickly.
So everything going on over there is of utmost importance.
Yes, it is. I've been to Cuba once, and I feel for the people. It's all politics aside, it's just the people. It's what is good for the people there. That they have gone through so much and so much suffering, and it's a sad thing to witness, to be there and see. But I did want to go at least one time, since I was born there before. Of course, it's too late for me.
And as a Latino, as a Hispanic from Cuba, Your Honor, how would you say that has influenced you and how you do your job and what you do?
Well, I believe that the work ethic that comes out of Latin America and being a Latino has had a definite influence in how I look at work. I was raised to look at work as sacred. Your job is sacred. What you do is up there with everything else. And I believe because of that, I've always put my 100%, 110% into what I take very seriously, and working with people's lives obviously is something that where I can manifest that. I think that I think my parents have both shown me that you need to, your job is sacred. You need to take that as seriously as anything else, and I think that has been a definite influence that comes out of my background.
I was going to ask you, if you hadn't chosen law, what career path would you have taken? But I think you've already answered that.
Right. I mean, I love medicine still, and but I realized at one point, while I was in medical school, that even though you can love something, you can love an area of study, you can love even preparing for that area, but if you don't like the day in, day out, if you don't have an affinity for that 9 to 5, it's not going to work out. And I didn't want to find myself 20, 30 years down the road not feeling like I had an affinity to what I was doing, even though I really got such a life experience out of training and preparing for medicine. And I have carried that over, I think, into therapeutic jurisprudence, which I found fascinating in law school. I studied under Bruce Winnick, who was one of the 2 professors in the country credited with the whole idea of therapeutic jurisprudence with creating it, and I worked a little bit with them outside of school, and it was a really gratifying experience. So I probably would have gone to medicine. I have carried that with me throughout my any area of law practice that I've been involved in, and I brought it to the bench in the sense that I don't practice medicine on the bench. I don't, but I am able to probably understand and work with a lot of what's being presented to me by the therapist, by medical providers, sometimes by mental health care professionals.
Your Honor, if I'm a 21-year-old starting law school, have no idea what I'm doing, looking for insight from you, I'm sitting in front of you. What are the most important principles? What would you tell me was most important to instill in my future in law? What would you say to me?
Well, actually, I have a son who just graduated from law school, so I've actually
well, without violating son-father privilege, what would you tell me?
And it's nothing that probably most people would think. Do go into as many fields that you think you may be interested in and get real firsthand experience in it. Try it all. Don't rule out anything if you can. I mean, I know students are limited in law school. You can only do so many clerkships and all that, but if you can split your time and just live or work with in criminal law and civil, and with public defenders, with state attorneys, with all areas, any areas that interest you in civil law. Don't limit yourself, and explore. First of all, obviously explore online and by word of mouth as many areas as you can, and then actually get that experience. Go there and do it.
Wonderful advice, Your Honor.
Advise my friend to do.
And my last one, realistically, outside of work, just what's your passion?
My passion. Well, that's an easy one. I moonlight as a farmer on my property. I love farming. I love animals. I have 5 head of sheep. I have a flock of chickens, and I've had lambs born. I can assist them a little bit medically. That's fun for me too. Working with the veterinary, unofficially veterinary side of things. Of course, I don't have formal veterinary background, but I like working with that. That's my passion. I think ultimately, when someday when I retire, I'll probably expand that even more, as long as I'm able to get around. and probably increase my flocks.
That one I didn't see coming, Your Honor. That one was fascinating. Thank you so much for that. I want to take, again, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. It is truly appreciated from the Broward County Hispanic Bar Association for your time. Thank you very much.
It's been a real pleasure, and I really appreciate the honor, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.